Welcome to the fall garden. Just kidding, it is not actually fall here in Alaska quite yet, but it may seem to be so. We have had a lot of rain recently. We had a warmer spring, and that was a little surprising actually. It definitely helped our garden, but things have shifted and now we have entered into a very rainy season. In fact, it's reminding me a lot of like an Oregon winter day. So real cloudy, overcast. It's actually still summertime. We are only in early August, but we are starting to prep for winter because it is just around the corner and every Alaskan knows that it comes sooner probably than you want. So you have to start prepping actually in summertime for winter, which is what we're doing today. So we're going to be doing some harvesting. We have some neat things to show you in there that I'm excited about. And we're just going to be taking you along and showing you what we're kind of up to at this time of the year. It does look spectacular out there. I like to come to this gate and I like to look at the garden. It gets a really cool sunlight in the evening. Late evening hours. We're losing our sunlight fast, but it's really, really beautiful out here. The nasturtium planter box that Eric built for us last year is doing really well this year. In the past, our nasturtiums usually have a lot of leaves and they really bush out. This year, it's just flowers and I can't complain. It's beautiful, but it's not really a problem for solar or electric fencing that we have around the garden. That's for moose protection. If they were to bush out, I think that they would actually run into that fence and we would have to chop them. So that hasn't been a problem this year. We're gonna head inside. First thing we have when you walk in is our garlic, and that is not quite ready to be harvested yet. You can see the tips are getting yellow, so it's not really looking very beautiful. It's not doing much more growing at this point. It is bulbing out, and dry weather would be ideal at this point. We just don't have it. I guess that's not too surprising since it's August. I'm kind of glancing over and noticing that I missed a few of the scapes. I see a handful of them. I was supposed to harvest all of those, but I guess I missed a few of them. I can jig up a little bowl and show you what it's looking like right now. So they're not ready yet. It's going to be probably a few more weeks. We're going to wait till more of the leaves turn yellow and the individual cloves are a little more distinguished than they are right now. This weather is not ideal for these because what happens is they'll get wet. The skin will get wet that's covering each clove, and you won't have that skin for the storage time. So, I mean, it's definitely not ideal, but I think they'll be okay. Every season, they're pretty much always okay. It is usually rainy in the month of August in Alaska. I recently went through and weeded this row. Last year, we had a really bad problem with chickweed, and we still have that problem with chickweed, but it actually got a little bit better, surprisingly. So what we did for that to improve is this year we put topsoil on our rows right before planting, and we did not use our actual compost. So the compost that Eric and I make and turn over, we wanted to give it a year before using it again, and that made a huge difference. We had a lot less. Mainly I just get it on the sides of the rows and I come through and I pull it because it grows incredibly fast, especially in wet weather. We made the decision to invest in a weed whacker this year. It is my favorite tool. Absolutely love having that again. It's not probably the best permanent solution, but it works really, really well. So we went through, we weed whacked in between the rows, and it works fabulous. I cannot complain. Next season's garlic is gonna go in this row. We've already done a little bit of prep. We had our mustards and greens in here. We went through and cleared those out, got them over in the compost pile. They serve their purpose not only for us and the chickens, but also the bees. The bees love the mustard flowers. We're gonna add more compost to this row. So far, we just have some mushrooms breaking down, and they are quite literally breaking down with decomposers. Pretty cool. There's like hundreds, maybe even more, bugs on this little stem right here, this mushroom stem. I'm gonna put that back down. Eric and I like to commonly do that. We'll put like the tops of plants, if we don't use them, back on the rows to break down. It encourages bugs to come and just break it all down and give back to the soil. We like to give back to the soil a lot. That's the nutrients. They are responsible for the nutrients and the health of the soil, which in turn gives us an awesome crop, right? I think that's something that is overlooked a lot with gardening. We are virtually creating like a little ecosystem out here. That's honestly probably my favorite part about the whole experience. I didn't invent this style of gardening. Of course, this is commonly referred to as like no dig, where you minimally disrupt the soil. So you'll come along and you'll just chop the stem of a plant rather than ripping it out and disrupting it. When we first started the garden, we did what's called like lasagna style. So you're really layering like these organic amendments to break down over time. And that's just what we continue to do. So it seems to work out for us, and this row will get some more nutrients and the garlic will be planted come fall. time to harvest some big vegetables. I've got the big pruners for this job. We're starting with the kohlrabi. It's just massive. And here, let me get down to the base of it. There we go. I think that's probably the biggest kohlrabi we've ever grown. We don't usually let them get to this size. I think this is kind of a freak accident because we have had such cool wet weather and kohlrabi really likes that type of weather, so it will swell up and get really big. Even more impressive than that, we have some massive turnips. They are purple top turnips, so they get pretty big if you let them go longer. And again, that wet weather is helping increase their size, but these ones are just like seriously big. We're gonna go ahead and grab this one right here. Yeah, these have never gotten this big before. It's gorgeous too, that's the best part. Sometimes they split, but man, what a perfect turnip. There's a little slug on him, but hey, wow. It's beautiful. There's actually another one there that's a little bit bigger, so we're also going to be harvesting that one too. What a good looking turnip! Oh, it is bigger. It's massive. Oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna weigh this one. I mean, that's huge. I don't know how big that really is. I can't honestly really compare it to anything. Just a very large, gorgeous turnip. And so sometimes these can get kind of like woody when they're old, or there'll be bugs in them, but this one looks really good. I'm thinking that crazy rain we've been having is what's making this happen. Wow. There you go. 3 of the biggest turnips we've ever grown there. I recommend purple top if you haven't grown it. Now, we don't usually let our zucchinis grow this big because we don't think they're as good as eating as when they're this big, but we just kind of missed this one and I figured we would let it grow. There's a nice little worm of some variety on there crawling around. Gorgeous zucchini. It's been a great year for cauliflower. This is a big one, but it is a little past its prime. That's totally fine. It's still going to be really good eating. We're not actually harvesting this one today. It has a little while more to go. It's getting dense in there, but it looks good. We don't have a name for it. We just call it the big cabbage. Have you checked out the big cabbage today? The other cabbages are taking their sweet time, so they're not quite ready. We have a bunch of different varieties. May not pronounce them right, but I'm going to tell you all of them because they are all awesome. We have Aubervilliers, Mermaid's Tail, Dewinda, Red Express, we have a Flat Dutch variety, and then we have Fiddlerkraut. We have another little patch of cabbages. This one on the end is Presto. That's a favorite of mine. We've got Red Jewel, and then we have Copenhagen, which is another favorite of mine. It produces this beautiful big green head. We're actually going to be harvesting this one today. Perfect cabbage. All this is going to go to the chickens. Eric and I actually have quite a bit of harvesting to do today. We're going to be doing some major canning coming up, so we have got to get to work. I don't actually know what variety it is. Which one do you want to use?
I'll use this one if you want.
This is, I recognize them. I feel like get one or two in the way.
Oh my gosh.
It could have been certain varieties. What do you want to use the green onions in this here?
I'll just start eating maybe a lot of them and...
Okay. It's when you get to the skinny ones, those are some green onions. almost done harvesting our onions. Wasn't a great year for the onions exactly, but that is okay. We still got a decent harvest here. The rain is not really helping them out, so that is why we're making the choice to harvest all of them. So we have a little bit of rot starting on just a few of them. That may be some bug damage actually, but that's gonna be okay. We're gonna process those. Onions usually tell you when they're ready to harvest because they will bend like this one, and then you will know that it is done growing and it's ready to be harvested. Usually you can pull them out, lay them on the soil, lay them somewhere dry for a few days. It takes a few weeks to cure them. We don't really have that option because we do not have sunshine in the forecast, sadly. We've got more rain. So we're going to be hanging these up to dry outside for a little bit, and then we're gonna have to transport them inside, dry them in the cabin. Another usual year for us, so not a big deal. I've been pretty persistent about growing onions from seed. It's the most economical, but recently I had started trying growing them from the bulbs, and those are really cost effective, and you do usually get a bigger onion. So I don't know if that's something I'm gonna give up in the future. I may be buying bulbs instead of starting hundreds and thousands of onion seeds in the cabin. Even if they didn't fold over, I still have to harvest those ones. We're gonna be leaving the green onions and the leeks in the ground for now. We're on to the squash. It's gonna be a big load. Almost mature too, I'd say. Cool. It's a really good looking one, huh? This is a pumpkin, and it may not seem like much. We got one squash, about one squash per plant. Not every single one produced one, and some produced two, but not very big. This is probably the biggest pumpkin I've ever grown here. Our squash just don't do that well, and we got really lucky this year with that warmth. That is the only reason I'm holding this beauty right here, so I have something to look forward to this winter. Generally speaking, you would let them ripen on the vine so they would turn orange, and their stalk or stem would dry up and look different. It would be like a tan color, and that's when you want to harvest them. We just can't wait until then. If we were to wait another 2-3 weeks, there's a chance we could have a frost and these will get damaged. Got a weird stem on it. All right, this is my squash collection and pumpkins for the year. Best harvest. Welcome to the jungle. I should probably get the fan out here really fancy. I'll put it down here. You know what I need to do? Just need to cut the sunflowers and get them out of here. There's one plant called 𝐬𝐴𝐺𝐴.
Yep, I see that one.
It looks a little different, but you can just harvest it. It's just like the same type. Okay. Oh my gosh. I like when they turn purple. That's 𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐴 next to the left. That's a snacking pepper.
Oh, look at this. Purple is starting to get a little soft.
They're rotting.
That's gone? Oh yeah, there's a little bit of mold in the center of this plant.
Yeah, they weren't getting enough circulation. That's why.
I wonder why. So weird.
Oh, you mean like the overcranking and the...
Dang, this greenhouse is freaking stuffed. You plant stuff in here when it's small and you're like, oh yeah, just all spaced out.
One day I was in here and I put my head up against one of the sunflowers. I always have the fear there's going to be a bumblebee.
One day there might be.
No, he actually was. He was buzzing right here behind my friggin' ear. He wasn't mad or anything, but things got kind of crazy pretty fast. It's like a snacking pepper.
That's a good one. Whoa, this one's loaded. There's like 15 on here. serranos get a lot of peppers on them is what it is, though. They're not as big, but there are a lot of them. Oh my gosh.
This is Jimmy Nardello. Look at him. Wow. Not that many peppers on this plant, but we're going to be making something with them. So I'm going to be harvesting these. And Eric and I have finished, I think, with our peppers and cucumbers. It's wild in here. We need to trim our tomatoes because we need them to fill out. And in the tomato aisle, we don't even come down here. It's just totally like blocked off. There's a lot of tomatoes. They're not quite ripe yet, but we're going to leave those a little bit longer. We're just kind of, I guess, jumping the gun here. We're getting things done a little earlier because we know that winter is coming. Oh wow, they have a really interesting odor now. Found another cucumber over here. It is raining again. So I think we're going to call it quits for the night and pick back up tomorrow outside. We're harvesting some of our fennel this morning. We have got other stuff harvested that we wanted to get to yesterday. Eric and I worked into the evening hours to get our onions hung up. That took a little bit while, but they're looking good. And there's still more stuff that I want to harvest. We're topping our Brussels sprouts and cutting off the leaves. They are usually a little bit thicker at this point. They have a lot more time to fill out, and I usually feed them very heavily throughout the season with nitrogen, so they're heavy feeders. But doing this usually encourages them to make bigger little side shoots, which is the Brussels sprout, so hopefully that'll work. Okay, these look great. We got all the leaves off that we wanted. Let's go check out how the potatoes are doing. Well, they were slow to start, but they finally took off. They still have plenty of time to grow. We let our potato vines, or the plants, we let them die back before we harvest them. So it's still a long time until that happens. I've been trying to dig up and see if we have any in there, so I'm gonna try right now and we'll see if I can find one. Maybe I can. All I found was this little purple potato, but that's okay because the growing season is not over yet. We've got all the harvesting done that we wanted to do for the day. We have lots of canning to do, and we will see you on the next episode.